Chapter 5. For a few seconds, I was just laying there on the wet asphalt, blinking at the sky like it's going to apologize. Gray clouds, apartment blocks, wires, no towers, no golden magic, no screaming mages. A car passes somewhere behind me, splashing through the slush. My phone buzzes again in my pocket, polite and insistent, as I've only been away for 5 minutes, not whatever that was. I push myself up. My hands are scraped, my jeans are soaked from the puddle by the pharmacy, and there's a smear of something on my sleeve that I really hope is street mud and not some interdimensional portal residue. The neon cross of the pharmacy sign blinks tiredly over my head. The world smells like exhaust fumes, cheap cigarettes, and melting snow. Nobody is staring at me. Nobody saw me fall out of thin air this time. To everyone else, I'm just some idiot who slipped. I checked the time. 2 minutes have passed since I left. 2. I've fallen out of the sky over another world, almost died, argued with two mages and a count, and have been thrown back across dimensions in less time than it takes for a bus to get from my stop to the bridge. The universe has terrible pacing, I must say. My phone shows 3 notifications: a meme from a class chat, a missed call from an unknown number, and a reminder about some homework I definitely didn't do. No messages saying, "Hey, are you okay? Did you fall into a magical war again?" Just normal life knocking politely. I stand there for a moment, shivering in the damp wind, and realize I have no idea what to do. Going back to school like nothing happened feels insane. Going back to Darton feels lethal. Standing here in front of the pharmacy until I freeze probably isn't the winning option either. So I do the only thing my brain can handle. I go home. The staircase smells like sour cabbage and cleaning chemicals. Someone's TV is blaring through a thin wall. I fish my keys out of my pocket with numb fingers and fumble the lock twice before I manage to get the door open. Silence. The good kind. No parents' shoes in the hallway, no lights in the kitchen, just our flat breathing quietly in the dim afternoon. I kick my wet shoes off, peel my socks away from my feet, and leave a sad little trail of puddles towards the bathroom. In the mirror, a stranger is staring back at me. Same pale face, same dark hair doing whatever it wants, same tired eyes, but he is looking wrong now. Like he has been badly photoshopped into his own life. There's a faint golden shimmer on the collar of my t-shirt. Leftover from Alinis' spell. My hair is full of plaster dust from somewhere in Target Fort. I find a tiny stone chip in it and flick it into the sink. Congratulations, I tell my reflection. You survived falling. Again. 10 out of 10. Would not recommend as a hobby. The stranger doesn't laugh. My hands are still shaking. Not just from the cold. The memories Sasha dumped back into my head sit there like badly stacked boxes. Darton, the Nexus, the war, Alini's, elves, Martha's absence. Somewhere under all of that, the empty space where the last year on Earth was supposed to be. The result is a kind of mental noise that makes it hard to breathe properly. I strip off my wet clothes and dump them in a heap on the tiles. The apartment is chilly, but the hot water is still working, so I crank the shower up until steam fills up the room and step under it. For a while there is nothing but water. It drums on my shoulders, runs down my face, washes Target Ford's dust and Nexus's static away. I lean my forehead against the cool tiles and let my mind flick through everything like a badly edited highlight reel. Falling through Sasha's corridors, Alinis's hand catching me in gold light, Rimos's flat, unimpressed stare, Sasha's voice in Nexus. I erased you. I did everything wrong people do in songs about toxic relationships. I snort. Water is splashing into my mouth. That's the part you are worried about, I mutter. The PR. If I stay here, I can pretend this is all some kind of a breakdown. Go to school, do my homework, tell myself that dreams are just dreams. The magic is just some stress. The portal burns on my hands are an allergy. Maybe I will even believe it for a week, maybe two, until the next corridor opens in a library, or a mage falls out of my ceiling, or a vampire knocks on my window and asks why I'm hiding. If I go back, I walk straight into a war. Into Sasha, who wants me under lock and key, into Darkwood where people like Martha live, and things like volunteer pull the strings that can strangle whole countries, into all of that, with no magic, no plan, and a talent for falling. I shut the water off before I turn into a raisin. Steam clings to the mirror, hiding my face. I wrap myself in a towel and step into my room, which looks exactly the same as it did this morning. Unmade bed, cluttered desk, pile of laundry that has evolved beyond human laws. My life, my mess. All the same, except I know it isn't really. I dig through the laundry mountain for clean clothes and pull on an old t-shirt and jeans that are only mostly wrinkled. As I shove my hand into the right pocket, my fingers hit something hard and cold that definitely wasn't there yesterday. I freeze. Slowly, I pull it out. It's a small rectangular device, about the size of my palm. Matte black casing, edges being a bit too sharp. It is heavier than it looks, like there's more inside than a simple chip. On the front, there are two round buttons, one blue, one red. Between them, there's a tiny engrave of an envelope, like an email icon from some outdated app. There's no brand, no logo, no charging port, nothing that screams, I belong to Earth technology. The air around it feels wrong, not as dramatic as magic, but the hairs on my arms stand up, like the room has suddenly remembered that gravity is optional. I sit down on the edge of my bed with the thing in my hand, while my heart starts kicking harder. This must be what Alinis meant, the thread I brought back. The piece of something that followed me across. Only this doesn't feel like Alinis. This feels like corridors and crackling air and someone who likes orange too much. Sasha, I say under my breath. I don't remember her putting it in my pocket. I remember her dropping me, and then Alinis grabbing me, and then the gold portal, but not her hand brushing my jeans, not this little weight settling there. But it feels like her anyways. Too neat to be a coincidence, too ugly to be Alinis's design. The blue button is staring up at me. Mail icon. Maybe it is a message, maybe it is a bomb, maybe it orders pizza from Between Worlds. Honestly, with her, all three are equally possible. Right, I tell the room. What's the worst that could happen? Famous last words. I press the blue button. For a heartbeat, nothing happens. Then the device clicks softly, and a tiny amber light winks on between the buttons. There's a hiss of static, like an old cassette waking up. Then her voice fills up my room. "If you're hearing this," Sasha says, sounding bored and tired and exactly like herself, "you probably messed up again." I actually flinch. Even recorded, she sounds like she's about to give me some homework to do. "Let me guess," the message goes on. "You walked into a corridor you weren't supposed to, or you tried to help someone you shouldn't, or you just existed in the wrong place at the wrong time because that seems to be your thing." There's a faint click in the background, like she's tapping something against a table while she's talking. When she continues, her tone is still flat, but now there's a thread under it I can't quite name. "This," she says, "is an emergency beacon. You press the red button when things get really bad, and your usual method of falling out of the sky isn't enough." I look at the red circle. My thumb tingles. "It will pull you out of whatever tiny disaster you have created," she says. "It will send you somewhere safer, relatively. Do not ask me to define safe. If you are listening to a pre-recorded message, I am obviously busy doing something more important than rescuing you personally." There comes a pause. I hear her breathe in, soft over the static. "And Max," she says, with her voice dropping just a bit, "if you somehow manage to find this device without me handing it to you directly, that means the balance is misbehaving again. Or I am, or both. Try not to die. It is very inconvenient for the rest of us." The recording clicks off. The amber light fades. The device sits in my palm, heavier than before. I stare at it. She erased my memories, threw me out of her ward, complained about me to two different high mages, called me rude, impulsive, a walking fault line. And at some point in all of that, she also built this thing, recorded that message, and slid the device into my pocket like a secret. I don't know what bothers me more, that she wants to control me even at a distance, or that she cares enough to leave me a panic button. "Safe," I mutter. "Sure. Your definition of safe is dropping me from an orbit." My reflection in the dark window doesn't disagree. If I press the red button, I give up on the idea of staying here and pretending. I call her magic into my world on purpose. I let her decide what safer means. I let go of whatever normal I have left. If I don't press it, what? I go to school tomorrow, sit in a math class knowing there's a war somewhere else that I was in the middle of this morning, knowing that Martha exists somewhere in the dark and that I have a whole Martha-shaped hole in my head, knowing that Sasha is pacing in a tower on some other continent, angry and brilliant and already thinking of 10 ways to break out. The device is warm in my hand now, or maybe my hand is just sweating. I stand up and cross the room in 3 steps, pull the curtains back with more force than necessary. Outside, the city is doing its usual evening thing. Buses groaning, headlights sliding along wet asphalt, people slouching in coats, carrying shopping bags. It's safe in the way a locked box is safe, as long as nobody kicks it. I imagine staying. I imagine finishing school, maybe finding some boring job, keeping my head down, never saying words like Darton or Darkwood again. And I imagine every corridor flicker, every strange dream, every news headline about unexplained phenomena ripping that pretend peace open again, over and over, until I'm 50-ish and still flinching every time I walk into a library. I imagine living, again, with nothing but this button and a vampire-shaped question mark somewhere ahead. It hits me then, stupid and obvious. I am going to run anyways, either now, on my terms, or later, when something kicks the floor out from under me. At least this way I get to decide which direction to fall. Okay, I say to the window. Fine, we'll do it your way, Sasha. I take a breath that doesn't really help, close my fingers tighter around the device, and press the red button. The world doesn't explode. There's no dramatic sound effect. The device just vibrates once, sharp and deep, like a heart skipping a beat. A thin orange line of light oozes out from under the button and crawls over my knuckles, up my wrist, under my sleeve. The air thickens. Gravity forgets which way is down. My stomach does that horrible elevator drop. Outside the window, the city smears into streaks of color, then into nothing. This time the corridor isn't gold or orange. It's red. Not bright heroic red. Dark, viscous red, like someone painted shadows with wine and rust. I'm not moving through it so much as being pulled through a long vein. It hums around me, familiar and wrong, like Sasha's magic took a different route through my bones. I want to scream, but my throat is locked up somewhere between the bedroom and wherever this is. My ears pop, my skin buzzes. For a second I think this was a stupid idea, which is probably going to be engraved on my tombstone one day. The red tunnel twists hard left, then right, then rips itself open without warning. I fall out of it. No snow this time. Stone. Uneven, cold stone slams into my shoulder and ribs. I skid a little, roll, and end up on my back staring at a sky that is definitely not mine. It's darker here for sure. A deep, bruised purple overhead, threaded with thin streaks of cloud, like torn cloth. The air smells like smoke and damp earth. And something sharp, metallic, almost bloody. There are lanterns burning somewhere nearby. Their light is warm and flickering against the walls. Voices, so many voices, not the hum of cars, but the roar of people in a marketplace. Shouts, calls, laughter, arguments, a baby crying, someone singing off-key. Hooves clatter on the stone. A cartwheel squeaks. Somewhere a bell rings the hour. I push myself up on my elbows. I'm in the middle of a street. A busy one, by the look of it. Stalls line the sides, wooden frames, canvas roofs, crates piled with fruit I don't recognize, bolts of cloth in deep colors, hanging strings of dried herbs. People in cloaks and long coats weave around each other, carrying baskets, leading small shaggy horses. Everything is lit by oil lamps and some kind of glowing glass orbs that hang on hooks above the stalls, dripping soft yellow light over everything. Definitely not Earth, definitely not Darton's capital either. The architecture is different here. Lower, heavier, more medieval, fewer straight lines. The buildings are leaning over the street as if they're gossiping with each other. A woman yelps as I almost wipe her out on my way down. She hops back, clutching a basket of apples to her chest. The apples overflow, tumbling across the stones around me. I'm sorry, I blurt, and start grabbing fruit instinctively, even though my head is spinning. She stares at me like I've grown a second head, but lets me push the apples back into her basket. People are turning now, eyes catching on the boy who just fell out of nowhere onto their main road. Talking spreads faster than any spell. Seriously, I say under my breath. Again? The red light from the corridor is gone. The device in my hand is dead and dark, as if it has never lived at all. My heart is beating against my ribs like it's trying to dig its own tunnel out. I have just enough time to think. This better be your idea of safe, Sasha. When a hand clamps down on my shoulder, it's strong. Too strong. Fingers like iron hook dig into my muscles, pull me up with no effort. I stagger. My legs are scrambling to find footing. Up. A low voice hisses right next to my ear. Now, move. A hood blocks part of my vision when I try to twist around. Whoever grabbed me steps in close, turning my body with theirs, so we're both facing down the street. To anyone watching, it probably looks like we're just two people walking together. To me, it feels like I'm being puppeted. Wait, I start. The hand tightens, giving a warning. Shut up and walk, the voice says. Quiet but absolutely serious, or you will be dead in under a minute. Something in the tone makes every argument die in my throat. It's not a threat thrown around for drama. It's a statement of a boring fact like saying, it's raining or the stove is hot. The crowd is shifting. I can feel it even before I fully see it. Heads are turning not just towards me now, but past me, towards the far end of the market where the street widens into a little square. There is a ripple of unease, like a wind whipping over the grass. My captor, or rescuer, hard to tell, steers me towards a narrow gap between two stalls. We slip sideways into it, half hidden by hanging cloth and a rack of cheap boots. From here I can see the town square better. A line of men in dark cloaks have just stepped into it, moving with too much purpose to be the ordinary buyers. The metal glint on their shoulders doesn't look like jewelry. The hand on my shoulder gives me a little push, guiding me backwards into the shadow of a building. I go because honestly, nothing else in my day has suggested I'm qualified to argue. Good. The voice breathes. Now, keep your mouth shut, your head down and your feet moving. I just saved your life. Try not to make me regret it in the first 5 minutes. We slip deeper into the alley, away from the light, away from the square and the murmuring crowd, into the kind of narrow, crooked passage that cities grow in the spaces between maps. The noise of the marketplace fades behind us, swallowed by the damp stone and the smell of old smoke. I swallow hard, taste fear and whatever magic residue is left in my mouth. Earth is gone. Again. Wherever I've landed, whoever this is dragging me through its back streets, one thing is very clear. I have absolutely no idea what safer means here.